Hello everyone, welcome to the Ozark Outpost. This is Global War 85, Operation Escobar, U.S. Global Command 10.4. Okay, first up, tech. Of course. Sorry. Got a piece having some difficulty here. There we go. AMD still on turn 10. Advanced SLBM SDI chemical. And they still did not get AMD. Advanced SLBM and chemical. Advanced SLBM goes to stage 4, and the Americans are on the board with chemical at stage 1. Okay. Next order of business is global operations. There are none. Alliance nuclear release. I've updated the victory points. So it is now Warsaw Pact Alliance 8, NATO Alliance 4. So the Americans will have 4 dice to roll for theater release, which they're just going to do right now. Yep. There's an eagle. That's 2 eagles, actually. Those are 12s. So, NATO Alliance has achieved theater-wide nuclear release. So, the Americans have 2 B-1s that they can deploy. And see, reserve forces have to be placed following normal placement rules, and B-1s for the Americans go at a home air base. For NATO, they can be placed at joint bases only. So, the 2 B-1s, or can these start at, now I can't remember I was thinking it was NATO was joint bases only. Yeah, I think that's the way it is. So we're going to do our usual and err on the side of caution. So the 2 B-1s will go here in central United States. Yeah, I believe that's correct. All right, that's that. So now we are to military aid. You thought I was going to forget, didn't you? It's morning again in America. So we're going to do a bonus roll for advanced SLBM. Missed it. Okay. But at least we did the roll. Okay, now we're doing military aid. South Africa is getting an SSN and an airborne for 6. So there's the advisor to deliver the SSN. Saudi Arabia is getting a minor airbase for 5 battle stars and a next-gen MBT for 3 IPP. UAE is getting another attack bomber for 4. And they're spending 11 to send NATO a destroyer and an advanced ASF. And then regular purchase over here, it's all air this time. 6 on an attack bomber, 12 on an attack bomber and a Top Gun ASF, 15 on 2 A-10s and an attack chopper, and as we have been, building 5 cruise missiles and 3 anti-ship missiles. Okay. Combat movement. U.S. Global Command is declaring war on India, Angola, and Algeria. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, let's start here with India. Try to get a place where I can get everything. There we go. That'll work. Okay. From Diego Garcia, this amphib comes out of port. He loads up 2 Marines and an attack chopper, and he goes up here 1-2 to I-12. And he lands his forces in Hyderabad. Then we got 4 airborne on Diego Garcia. It's a joint major air base, and the Americans have advanced airborne doctrine. So from this joint base, they can send 4 airborne in an airborne assault instead of the usual 3. So those guys go into Hyderabad. Then the supercarrier and the cruiser are going to move from I-6 to I-12. The supercarrier is launching 2 Top Gun ASFs in here. A fighter flying Seed and an attack bomber that will drop battlefield nukes. And then from down here in I-3, this carrier and its destroyer and its carrying the fighter go 1, 2, 3. Up here, the carrier joins the fleet card. The fighter joins the forces attacking Hyderabad. And the destroyer is there in the zone. So that's everything for the attack on Hyderabad. Of course, since the Americans declared war, India signs a military pact with the Soviets. So these are all Soviet units now. So the Soviets are going to scramble the fighter from New Delhi into the Battle of Hyderabad. Okay, now on this fleet card now, there's a cruiser and a destroyer. They're each going to shoot a cruise missile, 1, 2, into New Delhi in a surgical strike. And then the strategic bomber is going to fly up here to I-12. It's shooting 2 more cruise missiles, 1, 2 into New Delhi for a total of 4. There's no SAM there, so there's no missile defense. So those are the attacks on India. Let me come over here to Southern Africa. Okay, everything you see here, there's no terrain to stop movement. So everything in Southwest Africa and South Africa, except, because these are all American units now. As soon as the United States declared war on Angola. South Africa signed the military pact, so now this is all green. So the SAM and the light infantry are going to stay in South Africa. Everything else you see here is attacking Angola. And as soon as the Americans declared war on Angola, this all became Soviet. I don't know if it will do them any good, but since they have the because the Soviets completed chemicals, so they're immune to disruption. But the American field artillery is going to shoot chemical in Angola, and the Soviet two field artilleries will defend with chemical. So that's that. Kind of going in order here. Up here, the 3 Marines from West Libya are going to get back on their amphibs and doing an amphibious assault into East Libya. So they get that slight boost to their attack. From the fleet here, we got a fighter that's coming in here to fly seed. And then we have an attack bomber that is dropping battlefield nukes. And then over this way, we got 2 airborne at a minor joint base in Extremadura. Since it's a joint base, the additional, since they're attacking from a joint base, the additional capacity applies, so this base can send 2 airborne in airborne assault instead of the normal 1. So 1, 2, 3. They jump into northern Algeria. A fighter from the fleet here in M4 flies 1, 2 over here to support the attack, and 2 cruisers on this card are each shooting a cruise missile, 1, 2, in there to support the attack. All right, and these guys, since they're attacked by the Americans and they have a cooperation treaty, they sign a military pact with the Soviets. Okay, over here in the mid-Atlantic, the destroyer and frigate from A42 come up here to A40 to attack the subs. The 3 frigates from A41 come over here to join the attack, as do the 2 SSNs from A43. They move 1, 2 to get in here as well. So, first strike for Warsaw Pact subs is negated by passive sonar. The 2 American SSNs have their first strike. And then over here, the American strategic bomber at the joint base in southern England is going to fly 1, 2 over here to A6, where he is shooting a pair of cruise missiles, 1, 2, into Denmark in a surgical strike. And then this one may be kind of risky, but without risk, there's usually very little reward. So, here in Rhineland, there are 5 American A-10s. They are going to take off from that joint airbase and launch a surgical strike into Bavaria. The American Top Gun ASF from Rhineland will escort them. A-10s have surgical strike of 5, so they don't need, and they have full land target select with armor penetration, so they don't need spy satellite support. The Soviets are going to scramble 2 of their early gen fighters in Bavaria And they're going to scramble the 2 fighters from Eastern Germany in there for interception. The Americans don't have any fighters in theater to fly seed on that. And I believe that is all of the combat movement. So, as usual, since we're right here, let's do this action first. So first up, we're going to have the surgical strike with 2 cruise missiles on Denmark. There's no AMD available. And there's nothing that can reach the American bomber to try to intercept him. Okay, there is 1 hit. The Americans have PGM, so they get target select. And they choose to kill an air cav. Take him off there. Okay, now we're going to have the strike on Bavaria. So the first thing that we need is to do interception. And we will let the defenders go first. So you get 2 fighters in black and 2 early gen fighters in yellow. Uh-oh, come here, you. Okay, there is 1 interception hit by a fighter. Right now, the American Top Gun. Oh, just barely misses with an 8. Barely misses. Okay, he's going to be the interception casualty. So the Top Gun is shot down. All right, now the defending Sam gets 3 air defense shots. And he scores 1 hit. So that's 1 American A-10 shot down, leaving 4. All right, now 4 A-10s roll in. For nothing. Can you believe that? All that, lost 2 planes, and they get jack. Well, that's the way it goes sometimes. Okay, there will be an air battle star for Warsaw Pact for the interception kill. So give that to them. And now we will, let's start with the Battle of Hyderabad. So let me move things to the board. Okay, here it is. I forgot to mention that the defending field artillery will use chemical. So you've got 2 Top Guns and a fighter on air superiority for the Americans, 2 fighters for the Soviets. The Marines have close air support. There's the Seed fighter, and if you remember, the attack bomber is dropping battlefield nukes. Okay, so first strike goes to the Soviets. He missed. Okay, so now there are 3 Americans at 6 for air superiority. Nothing. Good God. Four airborne. 4 airborne at 3. Okay, there is one hit. One hit. 2 Marines at 4. There's 2 hits. That goes up to 3. Now you got an attack chopper. Miss. Fighter. Miss. Attack bomber with triple dice. And there's 3 hits from the battlefield nukes. Takes us up to 6. And there was just 5 defenders, I believe. Yep. No. There was 6 defenders, but this wipes them all out. So the Americans will capture Hyderabad. The only question that remains is what is it going to cost? So 2 fighters on air superiority. There is 1 air hit. And that will be an air battle star for the Soviets. Okay, now there is a SAM with 3 shots. He missed, and 2 MBTs. 1 general hit by an MBT. Okay, as I said, the Soviets are wiped out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. Soviets are wiped out. Let's get them all out of here. All right. So the Americans have to take an air hit that the Americans have to take an air hit that they're going to take on a fighter. They're going to keep their top guns because they think they may need them. Okay, that takes that off, and then they have to take 1 general hit that they will take on an airborne, leaving 3 of those. So let's get off there and land the Americans to claim their prize. All right, this ASW chopper is gone too. Get these guys over here. Roundel, and so we don't forget, that's going to be Americans up 1 to 59, Fallout up 1 to 7. Here's the American roundel. Okay, and the Americans get a land Battlestar. All right, now we'll do the surgical strike on New Delhi. 4 cruise missiles, no missile defense. Look at that, they got 3 hits. Woohoo! Well, what do you think about that? Well, then the Americans with their target select are going to choose to kill 2 MBTs. No, they're not. They're going to choose to kill 1 MBT and 2 self-propelled artillery. Take away that battlefield nuke option. And that's going to be 2 air battle stars for the Americans. for killing 3 land units in surgical strike. All right. And the purpose of that, which worked, was to weaken the Soviet potential for counterattack. Okay, now we will move the Battle of Angola to the board. Okay, here it is. Got American field artillery with chemical, 2 Soviet field artillery with chemical. There's no terrain. So here goes the American. He misses. Here goes the Soviet in defense. And he gets a disruption hit. So the American land forces all drop down 1. Okay, there we are. Now we're going regular. So here's 3 fighters on air superiority for the Americans. And there are 2 air hits. Two air hits. And that'll be 2 air battle stars for the Americans. Okay, now we got 4 mechs at 2. Well, there's a hit. And now there's 3 MBTs at 3. Nothing there. 2, 5 next gen MBTs at 5. Only 1 hit, 1 land target select hit. That's just not very good shooting. That chemical disruption must have shook them up a little bit. Okay, defending, we got 2 fighters on air superiority. And they get 2 air hits. So there's 2 air battle stars for the Soviets. Now we have an airborne at 2. Misses. 2 light infantry at 4. 1 hit. 3 MBTs at 4. 1 hit. An attack chopper. 1 hit. And the Soviets got the better of the exchange. Okay, so for their land target select, the Americans are going to kill an MBT. Take that off. The 2 air hits, the Soviets have to take on the fighters. The helicopter has to be taken last. So those are gone. The 2 air hits, the Americans, of course, have to take on 2 fighters. Take that off. Now the defender takes 1 general hit that they will put on a field artillery. And the attacker takes 3 general hits that they will put on a field artillery and two mechs. Take that off. Round 2. The defender's field artillery goes to the box. These fighters go to their normal spot. And here we go again. So this time we're going to have 2 light infantry, 2 light infantry and 3 MBTs attacking. Well, there's a land target select by one of the MBTs. Okay, now we have 5 next-gen MBTs. And there's 3 more land target selects. So this goes up to 4. And now 2 fighters. Miss. So the defender. Airborne. It's a miss. 2 light infantry. 2 light infantry get 2 hits. 2 MBTs. Nothing. Attack chopper. Nothing. Okay, 4 land target selects. The Americans are killing the 2 MBTs and the 2 light infantry. Take that off. 2 general hits. The Americans are taking on 2 mechs. Take that off, and we go again. There's now 1 airborne and 1 attack chopper left defending. So this time we're going to go high, 2 fighters first. And there's 2 hits, a 3 and a 6. That's what's needed. We're going to go on and do the next gens just because. And there's 1 overkill. So we have infantry in blue and attack chopper in orange. And there is a reactive armor or land target select by the attack chopper. So these guys are gone. And they take a next-gen MBT with them. So there's another land battle star for the Americans. And Angola is theirs. So we're just going to... I'll make everything the right color off camera. Okay, that's going to be the Americans up 1 more, 60. Now we'll have the Battle of East Libya. That I'm not going to move to the board. Let's see. He's flying seed, so there's no first strike for anybody. Since there's no first strike, let's just do those battlefield nukes and see if we can end this quick. We need 2 hits. Got 1. Okay, so now we'll do the fighter and 3 Marines. Nope, didn't get it. Just got 1 hit. Okay, so for the defender, there, Sam, actually there's only 2 air units. The SAM gets to shoot. Misses, needed 2s. And then the light infantry. Misses. Okay, they're going to take off the SAM for the Warsaw Pact casualty. And we go to round 2. So let's do the attack bomber. 9. God, he missed again. The fighter. He missed. Holy shit. Marines. Everybody missed. Not a single hit. Throw those dice away. There's the defending light infantry. Misses. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, the Marines are light blue, the fighter's red, the attack bomber's purple. Well, finally, a Marine got a hit. No, the Marines are at 2 because of desert. Everybody missed again. Can you believe that? This is ludicrous. There's the defender. He gets a hit. So the Americans lose 1 Marine. Take away 1 Marine. Okay, here we go again. Finally, a hit by the attack bomber, and that was the only hit. But 1 hit is enough to do the job. So here's the defender. And he missed. Just barely, but he missed. All right, that's another land battle star for the Americans. Remove this stuff. That Soviet ASW chopper is gone. As you can hear, the staff are getting in their workout this afternoon. Okay. There we are. These guys technically are over here. All right. Now we're going to have the Battle of Northern Algeria. Again, I'm not going to move it to the board. There's no SAM, so no missile defense or air defense, either one. So, 2 cruise missiles. There's 1 hit with a 4. And it doesn't really matter because they all... Well, it has to be a land unit, so... 1 early gen MBT is gone. All right, now a fighter on air superiority misses. 2 airborne in airborne assault, but because of mountains, they're at 2. There is 1 hit. 1 hit. Okay, now we have an early gen fighter. Early gen fighter on air superiority is orange. Early gen MBT is yellow. Okay, he got an air hit. He missed. So that's 1 air hit. Again, these guys became Soviet. So that's an air battle star for the Soviets. And like it or not, the American fighter gets shot down. This may not bode well for the Americans. We'll have to see here. So now it's 2 airborne against an early gen MBT and an early gen fighter. Oh wait, there was one general hit that had to be taken. And the Soviets take it on the early Gen MBT. Glad I didn't overlook that. So now it's 2 airborne against an EGF. So, 2 airborne, light blue is infantry color. 2 airborne light blue, the enemy EGF is orange. Everybody missed. Okay, there's a hit by an airborne and a hit by the EGF, but that was enough to get it done. A single American airborne captures the zone. So there's another land battle star for the Americans. Get around along there. And of course the other 2 Soviet Algerian zones. We're going to have to move him out of the way. Move him over here. The other 2 Algerian zones are now Soviet. Okay, now we've got the Battle of A40. Again, I'm not going to move it to the board. It's pretty straightforward. So we got 2 American SSNs on first strike. And they got 1 hit. So that takes off 1 Warsaw Pact SSN, leaving 2. And, well, we'll worry about that. So now we've got 4 frigates and a destroyer. Four frigates and a destroyer attack. And would you look at that? The little boys came through. We got 2 frigate hits, so the other 2 Warsaw Pact subs go to the bottom. On their way down, they shoot back for 1 hit. Okay, that's going to be 3 Navy battle stars for the Americans. Sinking 3 subs, defending alone. And the Warsaw Pact Alliance sub-threat, that's the American casualty there. The Warsaw Pact Alliance sub-threat in the Atlantic is now kaput. It no longer exists. At least for the moment it doesn't. Okay, next we have a surgical strike by 2 cruise missiles into Denmark with 0. Well, let's just go around. Yeah, let's go ahead and go around and use the auxiliary tray. So 2 cruise missiles. I thought I put them out here somewhere. I could have swore I did, but I don't see them anywhere. Huh. Anyway, 2 cruise missiles into Denmark. Oh wait, I already did this. That's why the cruise missiles aren't there. I've already done it. Never mind. Trying to be a cheater, I guess. All right then, that's it for combat. And we are now into non-combat movement. So the B-52 flies back to southern England to the joint base. The A-10s flew back to Rhineland. The scrambling Warsaw Pact planes landed back in East Germany and Bavaria where they came from. Okay, that takes care of that. I'm going to land air over here, and then I'm going to go in order because I got quite a few non-combat moves. So this attack bomber and this fighter fly back to the super carrier. Over here, the B-52 flies back to Diego Garcia. These guys fly back to their super carrier. Okay, I think that's all the air landed. Now let's open this thing up and look at some non-combat moves. Oh, wait. Forgot one. Celestial Eagle. I forgot to mention it in combat movement too, I think. Because the Soviet ASAT attack missed. So the Americans have their spy satellite. There's a 3 that does it, so turn that Soviet spy satellite over. All right. Now we get into the rest of our non-combat. Okay, we're going to start over here in Northeast US. We have an advanced ASF and 2 A-10s, and these are going to be our 3 air redeploys, and they are going to Rhineland. So the advanced ASF will go on the board there, and then the A-10s will join their brothers here. So a green and 2 grays makes a red. And we take these 2 guys off the board. Now, so I don't forget to do it. Oh, wait. No, I'm going to leave the B1s for now. Because if I move them, they will have to go by air movement, since we've already used our air redeployments. Okay, next we go down to Nicaragua. Yep, now we're going down to Nicaragua, where we're going to heavy airlift a self-propelled artillery and the attack chopper out of here. Since we have advanced logistics, that base can do 2 of those. The attack chopper flies into our Defense Treaty Minor Air Base at Somali Republic, and the self-propelled artillery flies into Macau. Okay, now we're going to sea lift these 2 MBTs out of this minor port, and they will go 1, 2 up here to southern United States. While I'm here, these 2 MBTs move from southern United States to northeast United States. This mech over here in Patagonia goes 1, 2, 3 over here to A49, and that allows him to land there in South Africa. Okay, we've done all the planned ones. Now I got to decide what, if anything, I'm going to do with the B1s. Okay, a B1 has a combat radius of 6. So he's got a combat move of 12 plus 1 for the air bonus. He can go 13 spaces. So let me figure this out real quick. Okay, the staff has made a quick study of the available options. 1, 2, 3. Plenty. Okay, so the 2 B1s are going to take off in regular air movement from central United States. And one of them is going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 to Paris. The other one, 9, 10, 11 to go on down here to Lazio. Wait, no. Lazio, yes, that's a joint base. Paris doesn't do me any good because that's not a joint base. All right, then. Instead of Paris, we're going to put him in southern England at a joint base that he can actually operate from. Okay, so that's the end. That is the end of non-combat movement. So now we are placing units. Put these guys back on here real quick, just so we see everything and keep things straight. The super carrier is full. It has its complement of air units. There we go. So an attack bomber. An attack bomber is built directly on this conventional carrier. Then we switch to the mid, and we're going to do the same thing here. Well, it doesn't really matter. This fighter and attack bomber landed on the conventional carrier, and an attack bomber and a Top Gun ASF are being built on the fleet carrier, which is actually on this card over here. So Top Gun ASF and an attack bomber built on that carrier. And then 2 A-10s and an attack chopper are built in Northeast United States at a major air base. Right there, like so. Everything delivered. Iran, again, we didn't give them any aid, but so here's their recruitment roll. 9 won't do it. They needed a 2. Okay, deliver military aid. even though this is now American, you know how it goes. If you buy military aid and then align a miner, you still get to deliver the aid. And I don't think I raised the Americans up one for aligning South Africa. No, I gave them one for Hyderabad. I gave them one for Hyderabad and one for Northern Algeria. They need to go up for South Africa to 61. Anyway, an airborne flies into South Africa, and this SSN, which is actually American, was delivered to the miner shipyard there in South Africa. Okay, now Saudi Arabia gets a minor airbase in eastern Saudi. Same way as before, it comes around through the Med and Suez Canal around here into the Gulf. The aid comes ashore here at Qatar, and they allow it to pass overland to eastern Saudi. And then a next-gen MBT comes through Suez into this minor port at Makkah. UAE gets another attack bomber. See, it flies into the airbase here. NATO gets a destroyer delivered through the Med, through the Turkish Strait, to the minor shipyard there at Marmara, and it will be delivered in port. And where was I going to send him? Yes, I believe he is. Advanced ASF flies into the airbase at Marmara. Try to boost them up a little bit. Okay, that's it for all of that. Now, the Americans, as I said, are at 61. I'll verify that off camera. I'll check back my turn file to make sure how much money they collected last turn, but I think that's right. So 61 plus they get a bonus of 1, I believe. Yeah, 58. They had a potential to pick up 3, so that's 60. That's 61. Let me look at this again. Hyderabad's 1, Northern Algeria was 1, Angola was 1. So the 1 for South Africa is extra. That puts them up to 62. It's a good thing I double checked. 62, and then the Americans get a bonus of 1 for possession of East Libya. So that's going to be 63. Plus the one they saved. Put 64 in the treasury. And then we got quite a collection of battle stars here. Quite a collect that I keep dropping. tally this up. That's going to be 13 battle stars in the American Bank. And I just can't hang on to anything right now. Collect the missile production. They're released for theater, so I'll get that reflected on the dashboard. Okay, there we go. Ozark Outpost. Over and out.